I will take you down to basics now: cleaning, catering, etc. Not very sexy, but after listening to my colleagues, we will probably end up with satellites for quality inspection, sending directly emails to our customers. Who knows? But as you said, the ISS Global Division is to be the world's greatest service organization, and that we do by leading each service area, each industry, leading the market globally, and then locally, and then globally, of course. And ISS has actually been rated as last year as the second best partnering service organization in its area. This is the geographical footprint of ISS, 53 countries, and I assume because we're in the Nordics, you probably all know the ISS as such. It is a well-kept secret that it's in facility services, not only cleaning. It has 535,000 employees, and it is the fourth largest employer, privately operated employer in the world. There is a lot of knowledge sharing within ISS. Just to take you, this has messed up a bit. I don't know why. Okay, this is just to show the brief view about our geographical footprint in Iceland, which seems to be in the middle of the ocean. And we have around 800 employees, and our turnover was around 3 billion Icelandic kronas last year, which makes us somewhere above average in the size in Iceland, but in the global perspective within ISS, we're tiny. I think Iceland and Greenland are less than 1% of the turnover in Nordic. This is the values, which are very important to us. I think it's very important for each employee to know what the company stands for. And we also have leadership principles, which we try to spread out to our employees. Just to give you an insight into our business model, there are 5 pillars, service pillars: cleaning, support services, property services, catering, and security. In Iceland, we do cleaning, we do catering, and we are now moving into property services. So what is the concept behind this, running those quite different service areas? First of all, by leading the industry, ISS strives for improving within and be the best in class in each service area. So we think that we can usually get quite much synergy and or rationalizing in each service area where we move in and are more efficient than others. On the second hand, we get a lot of synergy between service areas. For example, when we do cleaning and catering together, the cleaning people can step in around noon to assist in the kitchen, and then they continue cleaning. That's a simple example about that. We also get synergy between customers, and an excellent example about that would be like our central kitchen, where we then distribute food from. And then the back office or the management, by having this self-delivery model, on one hand, this is kind of a one-stop shopping concept. We get synergies. Moving to innovation, what this is all about. I would say ISS encourages innovation, but we have not had direct focus on innovation as such. We have been in constant development since we became ISS in Iceland, which was around 2000. Earlier, they bought a local company there. But why is it important for us? Of course, as for everyone other, it's about servicing our customers better than the competitors. It's to be ahead of our competitors and to run a profitable business. Now, what we did is, which I think was very, very important, is we did this competitor analysis quite early. And if you're gonna choose your focus areas in going ahead, this is one of the guidance you have to see where do the competitors outperform you in some areas, or where do you outperform them? So I think this is really important and was very useful for us. Now, looking at our results from the radar surveys, it is kind of interesting maybe to see that it is pretty much similar to what we've seen like for the manufacturing company in Finland. The emphasis is on offerings and operations. A bit like also with a shotgun, but what we found out is that the service areas are looking quite differently at this. And it was interesting though. We had around 10 people participating in this, and there is an alignment with the results for every round. I would say that the first round was kind of to get into we struggled with the model and the concept. The second round did not give us much. We didn't do much in between, but the third round was like the eye opener. I think we could have skipped the second round, and we moved more directly to the third round. And I think the takeaway for when looking at this, we have to look at how do we go to market and also the partnering. But that can be really different. I mean, the supply chain is really important for catering. Partnering could be really important for property services. So what we did actually is we continued by taking one service area, the property services. There that's new for us. We're moving into it. So we kind of chose some dimensions to focus on there. And this is just to show you what we came up with there. And we from there we took it to one. We did actually an action plan, and we are now doing in a strategy process for our property service area, which is will be a part of it. So it's actually a new dimension. And if I reflect on this program, ISS has very comprehensive and structured strategy processes, and we do it every second year. We are now doing, we did a strategy for 2012 until 2014, and innovation was not, it was not pulled out there as a separate dimension to look at. So. But the thing is that this fits perfectly into the strategy process, and we at least are gonna take it in, and we are actually now in the process of moving it into or taking it into the property services. And it is like my colleague said here, it's a very comprehensive model, keeping track of all the 12 dimensions, and we hadn't thought much about like partnering. And I would say also it is very, very good to have all the participants, and it is a real eye opener. I think that's our takeaway from this is it's an eye opener, and we will do it differently from here on, absolutely. And you can see that. This is the strategic ambition, or we came up with from a last strategy process, and we have added there. We will use opportunities and innovation to ensure growth. In our business, there are no revolutions. It's more like a step-by-step development. So I think it's really important about innovation. Where do you place it in the operation, in the company? You remember from the earlier days of quality, there was a quality manager. Then the CEO came, okay, Joe, how's the quality today? And there was a shaking guy there, trying to get the quality okay. But it is everyone's business. And I think it's the same with innovation. You have to think about how do you build it into the processes? How do you build it into the company? So everyone will be trying to think out of the frame. Not one crazy guy locked in a room who's responsible for it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so get your questions ready, and I will start with the first one, Gudmundur. And I'm just wondering, how did ISS become the kings of business to business? You're by far the best company in the world, even to take control of that segment. So what's the secret?
It's a long story. It was established 1904, you see. So they've been doing something right. And I think number one is structured approach and discipline. I think that well-defined processes and I would say that's actually behind it.
So how far do you see the ISS services sort of eating its way into a company? Will they shortly be running the customer center, or will they be running the? So where are you going to stop?
Well, that's a good question, because like 5 years ago, we were all over. I mean, like everyone is always trying to sell us something. Why don't you do cars? Why don't you clean cars? Because you're in the cleaning business. But we're now very focused on a strategic fit. And we're trying now. ISS is divesting a lot of things like cloak service and other things which have been, because it's not a strategic fit. It can do well on certain markets, but not overall. So we're trying to focus and kind of streamline so it's more clear what we do, and then we decide what we do not.
My last question is there sort of a facial expression for when you get from the global C-level that you're going to be the world's greatest service organization? What happens in the management group? Do the shoulders raise, or do they say, yeah, that's easy, and off they go?
I think there is increased cooperation between the countries. We have now, I think 6% of the turnover of ISS are now corporate clients, which demands alignment to all processes. The customers want the same service in India as in Iceland, and that means that the countries are talking together, and I think they're experiencing. We just had a huge contract with Barclays, and in 2 months everything was up and running what we promised. Several thousand workstations, and people get really proud about that.
Good. Yeah, let's have an applaud for the. And then we have time for 2 questions before we're going to take a break. So which one is it going to be? You have one company that's providing welfare and workmanship in the Nordic, and you have one that's making it fun to get things done, and you have one that's the best service organization in the world. So there should be something to ask about. And there's one guy here.
Hans Christian Bolstad, Q-Free. I'd like to ask you, when we had the opening radar sessions with us, it was a hard time for the different departments to grasp the difference between, are we good at something, or where do we have the focus? So typically the sales guys would rate sales to be very innovative, and R&D guys would rate R&D to be innovative, etc. So how did you, I would like to hear from the panelists, how did you work in your companies to distinguish between I'm good at this and this is where we have this corporate focus?
We started off with doing research. So we did an internal study where everybody was asked, where do we think we are in this? So we had every single employee in our little company did this. So we had saying, okay, Björn, you thought we were great there, and everybody else thought we were not doing great there. So that's a perfect alignment of Christian's pointing at north, starting off saying, guys, we don't think we are good at the same places. We don't have the perfect alignment. So that was a great eye-opener. And from then we had to discuss, okay, who's right? And then, of course, the one who won the discussion was kind of right. We ended up finding, the medium between and finding out, okay, who's right and who's not. That's how we started.
I learned something in the US, and that the hippo syndrome, which is the highest paid person in the room, that's the one who's always right.
Well, who am I? Who has paid the whole thing?
Yeah, that's right. So if you want to know where North is, ask this guy. He knows.
No, the opposite, because I'm not the highest paid.
You're not the highest paid. That's right.
Of course not,
You're
because I'm the one
paid.
who paid.
That's right.
That makes me the lowest paid of everybody.
Right. So be aware of the hippos out there. Any more questions to the panel, or do you have something, reflections on the question that he asked? Okay. Do we have one more before our break? I think that's good. Then we will have 10-minute break, and last applause to these guys. Thanks.
Thank you.